So welcome back. As you can see from the last video, I had a little problem with my mirroring, and that's because I didn't set the origin or the main pivot point in the correct place. So let's go ahead and fix this so you can see how you can mirror an object together and then use it to be able to create this new element. So to do this, I'm going to go into object mode and then go right here to the modifiers and delete this modifier right here. Good. And then now that that's done, I'm going to go into front view. I'm going to right click and set origin to 3D cursor. As you can see, now it's moved my pivot point right to a place which is roughly in the center. It doesn't matter, it's in the center right here, as long as it's in the center at this connection point right here. So that's good. So after you do that, you're going to go back to your modifiers and you're going to go ahead and add mirror. And as you can see, the orientation is incorrect because that's the axis is incorrect. So I'm going to unclick that, hit Y. And then as you can see now, the orientation is correct and I have this object mirror. So that means that anything I do to the right side, it's going to happen to the left side. So we're going to use that to adjust our mesh. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and hit Alt-H to unhide everything I don't need. And with the exception of this foot right here, what I don't need. And so I'm going to hit H on that. And then I'm going to take this element and start adjusting it to sort of fit how it looks in the 3D mesh inside. So I'm going to take all of this and move it. Maybe turn off snap so that it's not so dramatic. And then I'm going to take this and lower it a little bit down like this. So as you can see, I'm going to need a little bit of this because some of it is the unexposed parts that's going to be inside is the part that's going to extend with R2D2. So if I'm not mistaken, I can probably, you know what, let's go ahead and just fix the mesh first and then figure out what to do with the top of this inside. So now that we have that, I'm going to go ahead and, you know what, I don't need this one as well. Hit that also, hide that, and I'm going to go back to the one that I'm working on, and we're going to go ahead and start adjusting some of these pieces inside. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take this cylindrical element and move that up to where it should be. So if we take this mesh right here, and let's go ahead and go to X-ray mode so we can see what we're doing. We're going to go ahead and take this mesh and lower it, and as you can see, it's going to need some adjustments, but we're going to go ahead and fix all of this as we work with this. So first things first. Let's go ahead and fix this center, which we're going to go to object mode right here. So let's see, what are we looking at? So the first and foremost, we're going to move this cylinder element and get this out of the way so while we work with it. So while you have your selection over it, you hit L. Click on it, L, yes, cool. And once that's been taken care of, you're going to go ahead and take it and move it up to the side right here. You know what, let's go ahead and keep it for here while we go ahead and adjust the rest of the other mesh. And then we're going to fix some of these elements. So one of the things that doesn't exist in this element is this right here. That just isn't in the concept, at least at that section, this little extrusion part right here. So we're going to go ahead and optimize that and get that out of the way. So how are we going to do that? So we're going to go into edit mode and we are going to press 1 for vertices. And then turn on snap, make sure it's set to vertex, that's good. Make sure that auto merges up is on in the options over here, and then take these points right here, move it there. You know what, before we actually move it, I see this problem is this little split point that we're not going to need. So how do we get rid of that? So we're going to go press 2, and then we hit Alt on this row, and then hit X. When you do delete right here, this deletes the faces, but if you do dissolve, it actually just gets rid of them and still preserves the mesh. So if you hit dissolve edges, as you can see, now that's gone. It's also gone on the other side, and then I'm going to go back and press 1 and resume some of my welding. Take this, weld that, and then we don't need the rest of it as is, so I'll take this one, move it here, move it here. This piece, good, and one more. Cool, so now that is out the way, I'm going to go ahead and control the save, and I'm going to go to the front perspective and see how else we're going to adjust this, because it's going to be a little bit of adjustment, but we can figure this out. So let's go ahead and go to X-ray mode, and I'm going to go ahead. So you can see there's a difference in the connection point. So I'm going to take this mesh right here, this vertices, this one, take it right here. And this top one, as you can see, we're probably going to have to extrude this at some point to make it work, but let's just go ahead and do it to our purpose first. Bring it down here, and then now that I've taken that down a bit, I will take this element and move it right here. Whoops. And you know what? Turn off snap so we don't have to deal with it, and take that and move it to this alignment point here. And that looks good. And now that that's sorted, we're going to go ahead and take this element right here and click on it, hit L, select the whole element, go to the front, adjust this to the side so it lines up here. And now we have the good foot of this, which kind of looks good. So let's go ahead and actually take this part and extrude it a little bit to do the top part of the leg. So we're going to go to edge, and we're going to hit all of these little points right here. Boom, boom, boom. If you see the ones that I'm doing, front view, and then I'm going to hit E for extrude, and then Z so it goes into the right axis. Boom, it's good. Well, let's get this a little out of the way so it kind of doesn't confuse with everything else. So I'm going to go in vertex, and then as you can see now, we have the main connection point for R2D2's secondary leg that it uses for navigation and such. So we can raise this a little bit, and you'll probably have to adjust this once we get to the point of putting a bones modifier and setting it up for animation and such. So now that that's set, we're going to go ahead and fix it on the other perspective. So we're going to switch it to the side here. And as you can see, let's get rid of the stuff we don't need. So we'll exit edit mode, H on this, take the head, H, too much, H, H, H. And then now that we have it in this perspective, well, we don't really get that much of that legging there, so we're just going to have to improvise it as best we can because I couldn't find any concepts on it. So this feels good enough at least, and let's go ahead, you know what, let's go ahead and hide everything and see how it looks. Maybe that's a better way to look at this right now. So I'm going to, and then hit Alt H. And then as you can see now, it's a pretty good connection point, and you have that other element with R2D2, his little bit like his smaller leg. So I think, do we have to move this a little bit? I don't know. Because, all right, well, you know what, let's to kind of make things simplify, let's go ahead and unify these two elements. So this right here, the one that's finished, let's go ahead and call it done for now. And then if I click on the arrow and put apply, and I have one mesh, and then I'm going to go ahead and select the foot and hit, I believe it's J, shortcut, no, it's not. To merge is, okay, it's Control J, sorry. So shift and click on these two, and then hit Control J, and now it's modified into one whole element. So now, as you can see, you have the foot of R2D2. At some point, you're probably, you know what, when I think about it, I changed my mind about attaching these, because if we're going to animate these, it's best to keep these detached. So let's go ahead and keep it as that. So that is the next part. We just finished the foot. That's good. Let's see if anything else is missing. Give it one more look. So let's go ahead and take this one right here, H, and go into this perspective. Now it seems like the measurements for this is quite right, but the question is, if I select these two and I move them, does it necessarily go into R2D2's body like it should? See, not quite right, but could be that we have to scale it at some point. But for now, it doesn't really matter. People are not really going to notice that when they're playing with this and such. So let's go ahead and call this the end of this video, and then when it comes to the rest of R2D2, now we're just going to focus on doing on those small little details that we might have missed in the first place, and then on to the optimizing. So thank you very much.